Up? Good morning. You're chilling with Jonathan Mathis. You're chilling with the Sports Judge. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Good morning to you all. I hope everyone is well. I'm doing well. Let's do what we do over here. We talk sports. Let's talk about Monday night football game because that's the big story today. The Eagles lose their first game and everyone is freaking out. Everyone is panicking. The world has suddenly come to a pause because the Eagles were handed their first loss of the season. So now everybody, particularly in Philadelphia, is freaking out. Everybody, calm down. It's only one game. The Eagles still look good. They just lost their first game of the season. It's one game. It's humanly impossible to win every single game unless you're the 1972 Miami Dolphins. But the Commanders, they did their thing. The Commanders on Monday Night Football go into Lincoln Financial Stadium and shut down the Eagles. They shut the Eagles up. They clearly outplayed the Eagles. They whooped their asses in all three phases of the game. They really did. They whooped their asses. They tore them up with time of possession and so many third down conversions. They were able to stay on the field. You know, the defense at times looked gassed. The defense didn't really show up, but they were on the field too long, and they weren't able to catch their breath because they had to stay out there on the field. You know, and the Commanders, they didn't necessarily crush the Eagles yards per carry, but in terms of running plays and keeping things going offensively, they were able to do that. They were able to do that. So now that the Eagles finally lost a game, we have questions about them. There are some people labeling the team frauds. People are calling this Eagle team frauds. I think it's too early to say that. I think we're overreacting a bit about these Eagles. But it was a weird outing for the Eagles that felt off kilter from the first drive, really. From the first drive, and they never really found a rhythm. They never really was able to get things going offensively. The defense was slumping. It was an ugly showing for a number of reasons for this team. And after 8 games, they were almost entirely a fun team to watch. That wasn't necessarily the story last night. Now people have legitimate question marks and concerns heading into week 11. And who wouldn't? Because this team didn't look like the Eagles that everyone were accustomed to seeing. This was a game the Eagles easily could have and should have won. I guess it's fair to say that, especially against a Commanders team that, has a lot going on right now. The owner's going to sell the team most likely. There's been a big distraction within the organization. There's been a lot of talks about Dan Snyder, selling the team, and it's just a lot going on with the Commanders organization right now. So, their focus hasn't really been on football. So it was a bit of a surprise to see, the Eagles go down to the Commanders, just like it was surprising to see the Vikings beat the Bills over the weekend. Here's one of the big question marks with the Eagles. It's their defense. Jonathan Gannon has been on the hot seat. A lot of Eagles fans have called for his job. The defense stinks tremendously. Many Eagle fans on Monday night, was calling for his job. It seems clear that, you could blame the defensive coordinator, Gannon, for a defensive game plan that seemed ill-equipped. The defense looked very unprepared coming into this game. This was sloppy. This game was sloppy. It was really sloppy. The Eagles' play was sloppier than a Carl's Jr. cheeseburger loaded with too much ketchup and mustard. I mean, that's how sloppy the play was. Where was Darius Slay all night? Darius Slay's abysmal play reared its ugly head. Fletcher Cox wasn't that unstoppable force. and in a massive tackle that we usually see. So this defense just looked suspect. They didn't look good from the start. And I mean the Eagles just played with uncharacteristic sloppiness. Failed to hit on the game breaking plays that had defined their season coming into this game, particularly, and had every flaw exposed in quite an imperfect performance when you watched this team last night. Jalen Hurts wasn't perfect by any means. He struggled last night. They just didn't look like the Eagles, this dominant football team. They got dominated. They got dominated by the Commanders. The Commanders dominated them in every way imaginable. They dominated them. They came out and they took care of business. But I don't think we should overreact, after the first L of the season. I mean, there's still plenty of season left, and the Eagles had their shot at perfection slip out of their hands. It just slipped out of their hands. They were trailing at halftime for the first time this season. Hurts seemed to have one more big play left to pull out a victory. He connected on a deep ball to wide receiver Quinn's, if I pronounce his name right, Q's Watkins, on a 51-yard reception late in the fourth quarter, trailing 26-21. Watkins hits the ground. The ball pops out. And he took off running, only to fumble the ball and give Washington the possession. Jalen Hurts also had a perfect throw in double coverage to A.J. Brown, and the ball was off his fingertips. It just wasn't their night. It was basically an off night. They took the night off. They didn't show up for this game. You have too many turnovers. The Eagles have 4 turnovers. That's a alarming number for a team that had only 3 in the first 8 games. So they're pretty disciplined with the football. They don't turn over the football too much. The defensive end was flagged. Graham and Brandon Graham is taking a lot of criticism this morning. He was flagged for a late unnecessary roughness call on quarterback Tyler Heinicke that extended Washington's drive. So, there's a lot of controversy there with that this morning. A lot of people are talking about that. I don't know if I would have lunged on Tyler Heinicke. The flag, man. The flag got thrown and the whistle was blown and he got penalized for it. And then you go back to A.J. Brown, man, had a catch knocked off his hands, like I said, and it turned into an interception. It just wasn't their night. It was an overall sucky, bad night for the Eagles, and the Commanders, they turned in a performance that was stunning, while the Eagles, they coughed one up. They gave a game away that they were favorites to win. But I think the Eagles are a great team. I think they'll bounce back. They have the players to do so. Jalen Hurts has improved tremendously this year. He's gotten better as a quarterback. He has emerged into a consistent quarterback. I can say he has shown great leadership. The team trusts in him. He has made some big plays. He's doing his thing. And then you have Darius Slay in the secondary. You could blame a lot of that on John and Glennon because of, again, the Gannon. Just it's soft coverages. And the defense looked putrid because of him. I got a lot of questions about his defense. Like, this guy sometimes looks like he has no clue what he's doing, and doesn't always put his defensive players in the best position to succeed. And that's what we've seen last night. And that's why they looked lost out there. They looked confused. They looked lackadaisical. They just didn't bring their full effort, okay? They just didn't play a great game of football. Next week's got to be better. And they got to be able to stop the run because they got a tough schedule ahead. They got some guys that they're going to face that can really run the football. Saquon Barkley's having a good year. You talk about Derrick Henry over in Tennessee. He's running the ball effectively. So they're going to have to be able to stop the run. And I know they miss one of their top defensive players who landed on injured reserve. So, I mean, it's unfortunate when you lose a player, particularly as good as Jordan Davis. You know, Jordan Davis was able to swallow up a lot of running backs. And now that you don't have him, you have to make some type of adjustment to figure out a way to slow down the running game. You have to come up with some kind of blueprint that's going to make your team more successful in being able to stop the run. And the Eagles haven't been able to do that without Davis. So that's been a huge problem for them as well, too. But the Eagles, I think they still have that winning formula. I think they'll get back to winning ways next week. I think they'll go back to the drawing board, see what they got to do better, watch film, look at the plays, go over some things, make those adjustments that they need moving forward so they can get back to winning football games. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. Also share this video. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys soon in my next video. Take care, man. Take care, everyone.